Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck happening to YouTube. Talking head type community and such, or something like that. Hillary Clinton exposed. Interesting. A little bit frightening. But you know, age ruins us all. Anyway, it did improve me, which is kind of weird. I definitely improved with age. I mean, I just, you know, just am that way. Not necessarily physically, but I just, you know. Anyway, all right. So, yeah, so there's little bits and stuff are going on. Okay, so Dee and Mike, you know, in Florida, so they did that room, which was nice. And I haven't still finished watching the Numbly Numb stuff. But anyway, no, just nice seeing them. You know, Olfan's been doing her camera thing, and you know, she was doing sculpture the last 3 days, and you know, really quite interesting, I thought. So you know, it's a little disappointing that people don't really care, but, you know, it's a fascinating, you know, to just periodically check in and you see somebody working on something, you see the progress, and you know, it's interesting. So I eventually want to do that with painting and different things here. You know, again, I just have to do it in some form that's, you know, I have to wear clothes. Yeah, that's what I have to do. But anyway, so yeah, it's all kind of interesting, and you know, I'm looking forward to do some videos outside, and you know, I want to do some nature studies and whatnot, and maybe some physics experiments. Who knows? You know, how much water I displace in my little plastic pool and that kind of thing. Anyway, so you know, I'm not, you know, so there's not, the internet is irritating and annoying and obnoxious and trolly, but you know, it's all we have, so we gotta you know, try to use it. You know, it's just this gaining some sort of momentum or relevancy. You know, it's a little tricky. You know, how you do that in a very, you know, not too much, it's not so much about the substance, it's style over substance, all that kind of stuff, and blah, 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 all the arguments you can make, that makes it a little difficult. So anyway, I did do this Puro room again. So I was there for like the first hour and a half or whatever, hour anyway, something. Well, it has to be an hour and a half, I think. And then my browser crashed and I wanted to go anyway, so, you know, that was okay. And then I came back later and everything turned to shit, and Puro was drunk, and you know, you're just like, what's the point? Let's do serious conversations while drunk. I just, you know, it's just, well, gee, that's sort of a waste of time, isn't it? And then the troll started. And I didn't call him a troll earlier, but he really was. And you can sort of see it here in the earlier part where I wasn't calling him a troll. Yeah, Puro kicked me out of the room, by the way, which was kind of weird. But he wasn't following along at all. Like I said, he was drunk, and he really didn't understand what was going on and who was arguing with who. And so apparently he thought I was somehow part of the argument between the troll and Mr. Natural, who was really, it was nice to see him. I didn't realize he was in earlier, you know, and that's sort of irritating. I was just caught up in the conversation, so I didn't notice the icons had grown. This is just before I left. And so, yeah, I would have liked to have spoken with him. I mean, it was nice later. I found, you know, he did support a couple of the things I was saying, which was nice to hear. And so that was good. Some parts of this, there is a good rational conversation about certain problems in science and physics specifically, and there was a conversation about Tesla in here and different things, and you know, stuff I think needed to be said, and I'm glad I got a chance to say them, so that was good. You know, again, I don't know if there's any point. I don't know whether the audience is capable of this conversation. You know, it is kind of, you know, it's not checkers. You know, it is kind of it's like somebody, it's like talking about chess or something. Those conversations can get really complicated if you have any proficiency at it. Anything that you do as a regularly and with competence, let's say, even if it's just painting walls or whatever it would be, house painting, with more and more experience you have more and more to talk about because you understand more and more do's and don'ts and all that kind of stuff. So it's, this is the kind of conversation, physics or science, that does get a little dicey having with just regular people because they really don't, you have to go through everything step by step and it's just kind of a waste of time. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, this guy didn't seem as trollish early, but you can just see it in some of the things he says, and you just say, "What the fuck? Where did that come from?" But he's just one of these anti. As soon as you say something, he just comes up with some kind of bullshit. What about mud? Or something. You can just say, "What about mud?" I guess to anything, and somebody will have to answer you and say, "Well, what does mud have to do with whether I should use Ajax dishwashing soap?" Well, mud is sort of related to soap, so there's a tangential relationship. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Appropriately change the metaphor. Let's move on. So I just played this little bit just because this was, this was something I didn't pay attention to earlier, but yeah, this is this guy's style, and it's just his style is just to say some kind of crap, and then force people to change the subject of the video, the conversation based on the crappyism. But it's just the typical troll behavior. It's just take any momentum the conversation has and just grind it into nothing and stall everything over some stupid little meaningless point. Rather than the big picture point.
Unicorns is a better idea than black holes, alright? Yeah.
I think unicorns is a better idea than black holes.
Studying black holes, because Gary, you said something earlier. The fucking horse with the goddamn horn.
Hold on a second, because this goes to YouTube know me. Just for 1 second, and then I'll shut up. But you said you can't see black holes, but we can. We just can't see them with our eyes. We can hook up a freaking we can see the electricity distortions happening. That's what pure.
So right there, you're just saying what? The black holes, electricity distortions. So I'm just saying he's just making crap up. Like he's heard some vague notion that maybe you can identify a black hole because it's creating radiation, or maybe you could identify a black hole because it's affecting things around it. And so he has some vague notion that there's some idea like that. I mean, but this is not a rational thing to say. Electricity? Oh, come on. Yeah, come on.
X-ray. Yeah, we can see the hole. So.
Right. Okay. X-rays are now electricity. Oh, now, that's stretching it a bit. Like, way too much. Electricity might be made out of X-rays. Might be some inside of the electricity, but it's tangential at best. So anyway, I don't need to play this, but so yeah. But later, Piro kicked me out of the room by his own misunderstanding of who was at fault for anything, because I identified this guy as a troll, and because Piro wasn't paying any attention, absolutely nothing productive happened for like an hour in the room. So we're sitting here for an hour. Mr. Natural got quite offended and upset. And so he was actively arguing with the troll, and it was just an hour of nothing. I mean, nothing, no progress in the room whatsoever. And Piro just wasn't paying any attention to that. And then he pops back in and he thinks it has something to do with him somehow. And there was nothing to have anything to do with him somehow because his mic wasn't on for a half an hour. I mean, it was just, it's a kind of slop where you just say, this is why this room thing just doesn't work very well. And it should, if it's moderated a little bit, I guess, is that what was required here. But, the irony is I got moderated out of the room, and I, frankly, had pretty much, all I was trying to do was get Mr. Natural not to react, just so the subject could advance, because there was no movement in the subject, because this guy, was saying, but galaxies spin and they don't bounce off of each other. So there, because galaxies spin and don't bounce off of each other, that means black holes don't bounce off of each other with their spin, and you know, as if the dynamics are the same. And who needs to have that kind of specific conversation anyway, over a single point that was made about why the Lagos gravity wave theory thing has fundamental flaws. And one of the fundamental flaws is you'd have to assume there was no internal dynamics inside of black holes, that is, no movement inside of them, because any movement would be converted into spin, which would cause movement, you know, not integration. They wouldn't combine well. Spinning things don't like to combine, and they have to have really compatible spins to combine. Like creating orbits, there's rules. It doesn't happen. You just don't throw something into a gravity well and it just starts orbiting. It just doesn't happen that way. But anyway, I'll try not to do physics in this video. Save that for another time, because I do have some more physics. I mean, I've been doing the lectures and you know, just more just completing my perspective, and it's just like it's a complete theory in my opinion as it exists, just because it's complete enough as a blueprint, a diagram, a drawing of the basic functions, and there's details can be filled in to make it richer and richer as a more complete, let's say. But it is at a complete in terms of being satisfactory as a counter argument to bent space and the ludicrous nonsense of black holes and gravity wells and all that kind of crap. Anyway, quantum wave particle duality. Yeah, we don't need that anymore. It's all photons. Everything is made out of a little thing. Gravity, magneton, photon, doesn't matter what you call it. It's all the same little thing, just polarized. Anyway, moving the speed of light. Okay. And it's just collections of them. But anyway, Draft Science channel below, link to. Yeah. So what else is news? So yeah. So it's not all crap, but I mean, you certainly have to find out edit out the places where there's decent stuff and good stuff. So I'd say that this first half stuff wasn't too bad, and then but back here, down here somewhere, it goes all the shit. Yeah, so there's a part where it's just useless shit, but you know, I don't know the exact time codes yet or anything. So anyway, can't give you the time codes because I don't know them. But anyway, yeah, back to the getting kicked out thing. So yeah, I was a little pissed off about that. First, I was quite. If you watch it, I was trying to mitigate the problem. I wasn't creating it. And part of mitigating the problem was identifying the troll for what he is. I mean, he's just a naysayer, okay? Anything you say, he was just going to respond with some sort of bullshit saying, no, how do you know that? I was blah, 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 some kind of crap to naysay. And so you're just back to arguing with some religious kook who's just going to say, well, God could create that fake idea in your head, or God could do this, or God could, you know, who wants to waste their time with that nonsense? It's just a complete, let's not pay attention to the evidence, let's not pay attention to any kind of proportionality, let's not recognize the difference between things that are proven with hard evidence and things that are proven with weak evidence. These are all really important things, and this asshole doesn't care about those important things. So that's why I would call him a troll. Alright, but I'm not allowed to do that. So personally, I'm not allowed to call somebody a troll in Piro's room. So, I don't know. That seems like a silly rule to me. Really silly. So, I guess he's going to have to offer me money, or he's going to have to make some sort of public apology, or I won't be back. This is just bullshit. Yeah, it's just bullshit. And being drunk isn't a good enough excuse. can't keep using that one anyway. Yeah, I'm tired of his drunk excuse. Anyway. Alright, so where else do we go? Is there anything else to... Any other news in the place that I acquire my news? Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, there's some guy, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that guy is either. Yeah, I finally unsubbed from the violent vegan guy, because he just keeps making videos that are kind of stupid. So, yeah, fuck it. There's a chick. She was sort of interesting. She did a video on antinatalism. So, yeah, has an interesting look to her. Yeah, sort of interesting. So that was kind of nice. I didn't watch the whole video, but she did the, doing this with the finger going in. Yeah, so there's a little bit of sexual instruction in there, so that was good. Oh, now that's commencement speech, and oh no, this is his Bernie occupies Oakland. Oh yeah, I'm sure that was really super. Bunch of hand holding and such. We love you, Bernie. Oh, you're gonna save us with your free everything. Yeah. Jesus Christ. So, what else is there? Yeah, so there's the whole modern mystic argument thing, which was just a catastrophe, of course. It just, unfortunately, that's how they all go nowadays. It always ends in some sort of horrible crash and burn and futility and whatnot. But some good videos, in my opinion, came out of it. I certainly feel comfortable in defending my position, and I think I've done quite adequately, and so yeah, I can't help but say good job, Mystic, for provoking me to make the argument that I didn't think needed to be made, but apparently it does need to be made, because even the determinists, like the atheists, aren't atheists because they believe in some sort of spiritual bullshit or quantum blah blah blah. A lot of determinists really don't understand that determinism kind of means you understand that the future will be what we make it. We're the cause for the future effect. And so if we just go around saying, well, I don't care, and that's what the future is going to look like. It's going to look like a place nobody cared about. And that's how it's going to work. And it seems there's a lot of determinists who don't understand that. They think everything will be okay. You know, we can we can shit in the living room, and somehow it'll disappear in the future. It'll just go away. I don't think so. That's determinism. The shit just doesn't go away. Somebody has to clean it up. That's the reality. You make a mess, somebody's got to clean it up. Yeah. Spend some money, somebody's got to pay for it. It's like the whole Bernie thing, right? There's no free anything, fucker. So no point in saying anything about free anything, because it ain't free. Fucker. So anyway. So the other thing, I do want to get to the inheritance guy, because he made some sort of counter-argument in the text defending apparently there's some huge distinction between monarchy and inheritance, and clearly I would argue in this circumstance there's really no distinction. I mean, the lords didn't have their own armies, and they didn't have all that stuff because they didn't need to, because they had the king, and we have the government is basically there to serve and protect the rich, you know, and it's pretty much there to harass and kick the shit out of the poor. So in many ways it's just the same. The means of production and everything else are owned by the rich. The serfs rent their life, and they can never get ahead because they're always going to be burdened by the interest cost of the rental, and that's sort of the system. Yes, there's some differences, but I'm just saying fundamentally it's the same thing. If you support inheriting the economy, the means of production, you're pretty much the same thing as supporting monarchy. I mean, take the king out of monarchy and just have the nobles, and you could argue that's the same circumstance. I mean, the king used to have the farce of the people's court. He would give the people little things to make them, to entertain them, where they would think they had some power or control. No. I mean, it's funny that Britain still calls it the House of Lords. You'd think they'd get rid of that even, because that even sounds kind of foul. That's pretty putrid. They still hand out lordships, like that's something to be proud of. Being called a lord. I don't know. Doesn't seem reasonable to me to think that that's a good thing. No. It's not like, like I said, it's not earned. It can't be a good thing, right? Gee. But anyway, so he just kind of just ignores the whole point that reward and punishment doesn't work if you don't reward accomplishment. And if you punish erroneously, just because somebody was born to a crack whore. So if you don't know how to, that reward and punishment's whole job is to fix the unevennesses and unfairnesses of reality and the cruel world, then you're pretty unimaginative. You're an idiot. That's what you are. So anyway, but yeah, I didn't get to that video. I'll probably pass on the Numbly Numb video. I mean, I was going to make a video just, dragging him over to the poo, and sticking his nose in it and saying, come on, Numbly, admit that you pooed in the living room. But there's no, he really is just, he's smart, but he has no clue. So I guess he doesn't really understand what poo is, and that you don't do it in other people's living rooms. But anyway, so we'll cut him a break and see if he learns without me having to drag him to the lesson. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so otherwise, Warbles is still doing his whatever, same old crap, really. Kangaroo news, which, I'm really not that interested in the kangaroo news. This guy did his, this photographer guy, I gotta do a response video. He's got one of these, Nikola Tesla lost interview, and the interview is basically mush. Yeah, Tesla just didn't leave anything rational behind. I mean, there's just no, you can't find like a good hard paragraph of nice rational statements. It's just not there. Anyway, but it's just this whole idea that Tesla predicted everything, he knew everything was going to happen. But if you really listen to it, the fact is he was obsessed about his death ray. That's all he could think about, is death rays, death rays, death ray. Everywhere he was looking, he just was saying, how can I turn that into a death ray? And certainly that didn't come to reality, right? That physics is kind of dead physics, because we kind of know there's huge obstacles to it, like you're never going to be able to pile up enough photons and shoot them somewhere without having the opposite reaction problem. And if you do it with electrons through conductors, well, that kind of takes the atmosphere out of the game, because you're gonna fry it. So yeah, it's not really gonna. You're not going to transmit electricity or energy in any kind of efficient manner without a conductor. Anyway, so that's probably enough. Yeah, I think it is. For now, for this, we don't need to drag it out as I usually do. Well, when has need stopped me? Just because there's no need to drag it out doesn't mean I can't. Alright, there's no good reason to drag it out. Now that might be true. No good reason to do it. So maybe that'll be persuasive. Let's see. What is the determinism doing inside my brain? What is it doing? It's saying, Gary, it's inevitable that you do the right thing, not the wrong thing. Yeah. So shut up, fucker. That's what the determinism says. Nothing good can be gained from pointless babble at the end of the video. So don't pointlessly babble. And then it's in the book. Yeah. The future will be spared the pointless babble. I'm putting in the book now. Here it goes. It was in the book before, but I'm really putting in the book now. Yeah, watch this. It's going to be inked into the book. I spared you pointless babble.